people. Welcome to the debut episode of Internet for Old People. I'm your host, Ken Napzok, and you're looking live at the GPA studios. We are here. Yeah, we are here. I am so happy to be presenting this new show to you, a new concept, a pilot, if you will, of this show that, well, has an interesting little origin. There's a lot of things we're trying to do here. This is a fun panel show. This is a discussion about things that don't matter, but I contend they are everything. We're talking about bands, music, TV shows, moments in our lives, and we're talking about it from, well, many decades of experience. Here's the thing. I said this story in another spot. I, of course, have the Force Center podcast and have been in the digital media world for a few years. And I was talking to my buddy, Scott Mantz, who's a couple years older than me. And I said, Scott, I got to figure out what to do with my life. I got to figure out what to do with my career. I can't be talking about Star Wars and the internet when I'm 50, which is still a couple years away. And Scott said, but why not? Why can't you? This is a new era. This is a new age. And we are of this generation that grew up with this stuff. We are the makers of a lot of these things. And we're the ones that talk about it and make it so important because to me, pop culture is culture. Pop culture is art. You can appreciate a Picasso. You can appreciate a great, wonderful, what are those called? Statues? No, those are great too. And you can take a lot of meaning from them. But for us, comic books, movies, toys, the great moments in our lives, these are shared experiences that make us, and I am here to discuss it in a fun way, but also maybe occasionally a poignant way. Also, I will say this, there's also going to be quote-unquote young people on this show just because there's gray in my beard and my guests today both have some seasoning. This is not a show that keeps any ages or anyone away. It's going to be a fun little journey. So like I said, it's a panel show, which means you're not just going to get me today. My special guests on this first edition of Internet for Old People are a regular around here. He kind of lives here now. It is Mark Riley and my pal Chip Dornell. Gentlemen, welcome to Internet for Old People.
Hello.
Who said that? I
Who
couldn't
said
hear.
that?
Turn up.
Hi. So Mark Riley, a lot of you here at the Good People Association know. Mark, you're confirmed as old, correct?
This is confirmed. I can look at I could just look at my Twitter feed and it's confirmed I'm old.
Confirmed you're old.
Yeah.
And then joining me today is someone I just absolutely adore, absolutely love, and I've known now, we're coming up in that 15-year range, Chip. He was, he's a researcher. He worked on Jeopardy, worked on the 1 versus 100, a lot of game shows like that. Also, he has a writing credit and a research credit on a book that I had purchased long before I knew him called The Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family. And when Chip and I started doing stand-up together, I suddenly made the connection, and that is when I fell madly in love with Chip Dornell. We also did a comedy together on YouTube as a duo called Chipzok. Chip, welcome to the Good People Association.
Damn happy to be here. Thanks, Ken.
Oh, man. Yeah, Chip and I, you can find some of those old videos. We might have to do some updated versions, Chip. I went back and I was going to maybe rebroadcast some of them. I didn't realize just how bad the sound was on camera gear in 2005.
Yeah, it's the state of the art has changed dramatically, which is one way you can judge your age by looking back at some of the things that you used to do for fun, and it just doesn't measure up to what you're doing right now. And we thought we were. We thought we
pretty
were hot.
Yeah, no, we're like pioneers taking a wagon train over to YouTube land. Because one of the things Chip did back then, Mark, you went to some of these stand-up shows back in the day.
I sure did.
Chip was the guy, other than just being a great comic and the best political satire joke using Ethiopia and restaurants. One of the best jokes ever. But you remember, Mark, so comics would go to Chip because Chip would run tape, and then you'd hand over Chip some hard-earned cash, and he'd get you a VHS copy of your stand-up set.
Your own VHS copy. God.
That was the state of the art. Going back to 2000. So I think the 15-year mark that you put, it
Yeah.
goes a little further, maybe even back to 2000.
Oh,
But yeah, eventually, what was it that you got a DVD copy, because that was when we were cooking with gas.
That's right.
You got a DVD copy.
I remember when like Chip raised his prices. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Well, I got DVDs." I'm like, "Whoa, we've reached the pinnacle." Right now, I have two plastic little tote things in my storage that are just DVDs of stand up from Chip. And I'm like, I can't even play these anymore.
Yeah.
I can't even play
Thrown out
these.
Yeah.
all my DVDs, all the blanks, all the copies I had of shows. I've actually thrown out all of the mini DV tapes, because that was the format
Yeah.
that I had gotten up to by the time that I had gotten out of the whole business of
Whole
doing
business.
stand-up and shooting those shows.
Yeah.
I threw out all those mini DV tapes, and it was probably a stack of trays. Each tray holds about 48 mini DV tapes. From bottom to top, it probably would have been about 6 feet.
Oh my God, that's a lot of comedy careers you just killed. Throwing that out.
Or saved.
Before we get into what's going on here, we are going to be having a little open forum chat here up top here. I am obsessed with this idea about this pop culture, and we are of the generations, and I think from mid-'60s on, it really started to change. Like we started to what it was to not just, be an adult, but just kind of be in this world and the information and post-war and Beatlemania and the British invasion and rock music and this and that and movies. Everything kind of started to change, and it became who you are. And I always look for the pop culture awakening year. For me, it's 1987, and I want to know yours here, gentlemen, in a second. And for those in the audience watching live, let us know, too. And what I mean by that is, prior to 1987, though I was aware as a Star Wars fan, E.T. and all these things, and have an awareness of what was going on, everything prior to 1987 seems like ancient history, where everything from 87 on was something I experienced, lived, and took note of. And that was sports, politics, anything like that. Like I knew Reagan Mondale, but in '87 I knew Dukakis. The Bush was running for president. All those kind of things that was kind of the year for me. So Mark, what was your pop culture awakening year?
It's between 84 and 85. And it's because I was very aware of this the movie culture exploding, and me being in the middle of it and needing every single sticker, action figure, hat, shirt, lunchbox, what have you.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, Gremlins, G.I. Joe. You talk about Reagan. I remember the Reagan signs all over. My parents, of course, were big Reagan people. And I just remember that world. And then 85, because I remember the Night Stalker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Night Stalker hit right around the corner from where I grew up in Orange County, and so there was that united the entire California coast.
Yeah.
Because the Night Stalker, we're still playing in that pop culture world with the documentary now.
Yeah, it's full circle.
So that really seems to be the sweet spot for me, because the movies and the in me getting involved in all this stuff, and then looking around and then thinking that there is a bigger world out there more than movies, because there's somebody down the street that actually killed somebody. It was just crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not just the fun things. It's not just knowing who played Batman or who wrote the Batman comics. It's also things like the Night Stalker. I grew up in a little bit more of a sheltered home, so I knew Mondale and Ferraro were running against Reagan Bush. I knew it, but I didn't really know what that meant. But it was like the Challenger explosion is something I experienced, but I didn't know what was happening. Again, it started to work in a little bit later for me. I remember Halley's Comet in '84, but I had no concept of it. Now, Chip, full disclosure, you're a couple winters older than us, but not too much. You're in the same generation.
I have a little more seasoning.
I like it.
A little cayenne and paprika mixed into your pasta. That's fair. Chip, what do you consider your pop culture awakening year?
I don't know if there was one year, but I can definitely put it into segments. And I know at one point, the first car I remember, driving around in, that was my parents' car, was this an old brown Buick back when brown was a cool color car to have.
Yeah. Like a pacer.
Always on was the AM radio, because that's all we had.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I could, like, the sound of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Ides of March, which was a bit of a sort of a one-hit wonder with I'm Your Vehicle, baby. And the reason why I confused the two so much is because Ides of March always sounded to me like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So I found out that they were two separate entities.
Yeah.
And one of the members from Ides of March went on to the band Survivor. Now, I thought that the time that Ides of March sung I'm Your Vehicle to Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, which this guy from Ides of March wrote or co-wrote, was an eternity.
Right.
It was just like, 10 years. Now, so the AM radio always on in the car, no matter what car it was, from the brown Buick to the blue Volkswagen Bug to the Volkswagen Bus, AM radio always on.
Yeah.
So music was really big for me. And it's like, so I grew up on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I grew up with radio stations that began with the call letter W. WABC in New York was the big radio station.
Yeah.
And
all K's out here. K's out here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that was a big awakening when I arrived on LA's doorstep. And but watching award shows, watching the Grammys, and just like comparing like the Grammy Awards back then to today. Oh my God. It was a different world. You don't have Ella Fitzgerald scatting on stage anymore. One, because she's dead. But I guess no one's scatting on stage.
No one's, well, I think Jewel used to scat. She'll come back and do that. No, great. And you touched on something that's also, too, of just this, the time and every generation. And again, this is a show titled Internet for Old People. But guess what? You out there watching, if you're quote unquote young, you're just an old person in waiting. You're just waiting to get there. And it happens fast. In this industry, I don't want to get into particulars here. This is a fun show. This is a channel that tries to find the good. But there's been times recently at other places where Mark Riley and I and others were just told to our faces, you're old and you're done and you don't belong around here anymore. And that kind of hurt and kind of stung, and that kind of broke us down a little bit, Mark.
Yeah, it did. So we launched a company.
So we built our own table.
So it's like, F off.
There'd be meetings with some pretty, I think, ageist things said. But
absolutely.
That's a conversation for another day. But all of it happens fast. And you touched on something, Chip, where you look and you go, you see those comparisons that pop up online where you're like, this album today is just as far as a song in the 50s was. Do you grew up in this, where you do that weird thing where you're like, suddenly Joshua Tree is 30 years old or whatever, and you're like, I worked in radio in the mid 90s, everyone knows. I still consider No Doubt and Foo Fighters new bands. I'm like, the drummer from Nirvana, he's got a new thing going. Yeah. It's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
It happens like that.
Have you heard Tragic Kingdom, the new album? Really good.
They got some stuff coming out.
Yeah, just came out.
So here's the deal. Here's the scoop. We're going to go right into it. Thank you for all of that. We are going into a segment called Hittity Kaka Bucket Full of Pop. I'll get it right. It's a new show.
My God.
This is pretty simple. I have 3 things picked out that my 2 guests here don't know. So I'm going to toss them one at a time. I got a picture for reference in case you need it, and we're going to discuss it. If you don't have an emotional connection to it, or you kind of missed it wasn't part of your path growing up, or you're part of the world. Chip grew up with Ben and Jerry. I grew up out here with Jack and his box. That's part of the conversation too. I love finding out how shared some of these journeys are and how different it is. So the first one up, if you gentlemen are ready, we're going to discuss this. This is from 1995, Courtney Love versus Madonna at the VMAs. This is a great incident, the great Kurt Loder between them. Madonna was being interviewed, and then do you all remember what happened? Mark, Chip, take it away if you know.
Oh my God, it's ringing a bell. It's ringing a bell, but the bell is old and it's dusty and it's confused and it wants a nap.
Chip is going, no, Ella Fitzgerald's not in the picture. I already told him.
I know Kurt Loder's like 70 years old if he's not 80.
I know. Oh,
and,
that's
He also co-wrote "What's Love Got to Do with It," the memoir of the wonderful Tina Turner.
Well, you're all.
But I have no idea what happened at the VMAs between
This
those
is
two.
Madonna was being interviewed up on the podium by Kurt Loder when shoes started coming up off the ground and onto the stage, almost hitting Madonna. They looked down and let's just say,
That's right.
influenced Courtney Love.
That's
then,
right.
Following the death of Cobain, was in her new band Hole with Melissa Oftamar, and everyone else was kind of hitting the airwaves and hitting the top of the charts. And it was a pretty tense moment that led to this great, sometimes some people say, the best Video Music Awards moment here. So even Delisha Renee in chat says, "This I do not remember." This is, I love kind of sharing these kind of moments. This was a talked about moment here.
I remember now.
Yeah, you remember. What do you
now.
remember about it?
I remember the people. It was such a big deal. This was after Cobain passed.
After 93 for Cobain.
Yeah. So we knew it hit us hard. We were just at that beginning of the grunge, and we loved Nirvana and all this. But I remember Courtney Love doing that and being like, "Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no." And then it was a talking point at school.
Right. The VMAs and the movie awards for MTV was the talking point. But Chip, you brought up something here. Even if this moment itself doesn't pop off the screen for you, you're talking about Kurt Loder. Do you have in your mind your favorite MTV VJs?
My favorite. I couldn't actually. Let's see. I mean, there were no favorites because they really weren't that great. But Adam Curry, I remember Adam Curry was big. And the guy with the dark curly hair.
Yes.
And Kurt Loder did the news. Yeah. I remember.
What about like Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood?
Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood. They all come back, but it was just like, just get to the videos. It's kind of like when HBO stopped showing movies.
Right.
HBO used to show movies, by the way.
Not just docs.
Yeah.
Downtown Julie Brown, a great Matt Pinfield.
Downtown Julie Brown.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Downtown Julie Brown.
True to the title of this episode, I couldn't remember the name.
What about Idalis? I in the mid 2000s, I actually was on a weird, this weird kind of like society kind of debate show hosted by Idalis, who used to be on MTV. She kind of was that next generation after Downtown Julie Brown and all that stuff.
Around the Kennedy times?
Around the Kennedy times, indeed. See, all you have to say.
Vaguely remember Idalis.
Yeah, that's all that's all you have to say. Serena Altschul. Kind of replacing Tabitha Sword. I love that. I think everyone has their favorite, that era of MTV. All right, next one up here. We're going to April 21st, 1986. Al Capone's Vault with Geraldo Rivera. And Mark Riley is reacting.
Nothing in Al Capone's vault.
Nothing
but it wasn't Geraldo's fault.
This captured the imagination of so many. And what a letdown. I mean, that was just nothing.
I watched live.
I watched live, too.
Chip, did you watch live?
I don't know if I watched it live, but he did a series of these. Boom! There was also, he went into the safe of a sunken ship. Do you remember the name of the ship he did? It was kind of like a follow-up to Al Capone's vault.
I mean, I hope it's the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. For all you Gordon Lightfoot fans, no. Who is it?
It was the Andrea Doria.
That's
and it was
right.
the same kind of setup. It was televised. I guess I'm pretty sure that Al Capone's vault came first, and then he followed it up with the Andrea Doria, thinking something's got to be on the Andrea Doria. I got to strike something.
Yeah.
And here's what I love. So in chat, a lot of people are going, "Oh my gosh, yes, I remember this." Nothing. And then Barno Thinks says, "What the hell is this?" So what this was on April 21st, 1986, live for 2 hours. Geraldo Rivera. I think it was maybe ABC News. I'm trying to remember that. I'll look that up here. He
was on 2020, so that's quite possible.
He and Stossel. They were going to dig. They found Al Capone, the, of course, famous Chicago land gangster there. They found his vault, and they were going to drill and find for 2 hours. Cut to video packages on Al Capone and the history and what might be in there, the treasures behind this wall. So they finally blow it down, and there was almost next to nothing. There was like a couple dried up mats, I think a plastic bottle or something. I don't even know plastic at the time. But nothing there, Chip. Nothing there.
Huge flop.
Nothing.
And
Nothing.
that's why, as you can see with today, you don't do things live on TV, kids.
No.
That's the lesson there.
No.
Always be prepared.
Always have another plan. Samuel Leon Mendoza says, never heard of this.
Yep.
But John G says, definitely watched that live. So this morning, yeah, my family, we all gathered around. It was, I don't know what we expected. Like, Chip, what did we expect to find in there? Like the remains of his enemies?
I think you have that image of just like riches, bars of gold or some, maybe a bunch of Tommy guns like lined up on the wall.
A lot of pinstripe suits just on the rack. Look, it's like Al Capone. Yeah, Al Capone opened up a Ross Dress for Less. It's in here. Like, let's come on down and get a suit. Oh my God. I love that there. So that one happened. Final one here. This one I'm sure you all have memory of, and I want to talk about this one. This is Chevy Chase gets a talk show in 1993. So
yeah.
Mark, your reaction to this. This was big. 93, Letterman, Leno, Chase, dare I say, Pat Sajak, and of course, do not forget Arsenio Hall, who absolutely changed the game and pressured every other network to update and revamp what they were doing in late night. Yeah. Fascinating time, Mark. Chevy Chase got a talk show.
Chevy Chase got a talk show, and this is what I remember, is how long it ran. It's one of the longest running talk shows in television histories. Reverse that. Back that up. One of the shortest lived. He lasted how long?
6 weeks, maybe.
6 weeks, maybe. And I remember I was a huge Chevy Chase guy.
Same.
Fletch lives. Big time. Loved him.
Yeah.
Met the man at an airport. Went to get a autograph from him. Said, I love Fletch lives. He went, Fletch lives sucks. And handed me the autograph and took off. And that's why I didn't watch the show. I think I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, I don't remember much.
Here's the thing. So Chip, I want to get your take on this too. Comedy guy yourself. You and I were part of that era. Mark as well of Carson. Like Carson being the name, and Tom Snyder. But what do you think about this overall? Then I want to dive into what I think it means.
That's where I was going to go with that. That there was a time when Carson was the only game in town. It was Carson, then after him, I think I might have gone to Snyder, because not everyone did that. TV stations went off the air, or they showed movies late into the night.
Yep.
But then with that whole burgeoning of late night success after Arsenio Hall, everyone wanted to get a game show, and it wasn't just Chevy Chase.
No.
Mr. Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak, for a very short period of time, had his own late night show somewhere within that time window.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, no, not everyone could do it.
Not everyone could do it, which is part of this. And you talk about the Sajak one, and Bill Carter's book, The Late Shift, and also he has the great follow-up around the Conan stuff. They describe Sajak got the show, and he's still taping Wheel of Fortune. He'd go to the office, not care about what was on the show. He'd read the newspaper up until the taping and just would roll out. And everyone's like, what do you want in the show? He's like, I don't know. They gave me a contract. Just make some jokes. He doesn't care.
That's the answer. I want to be able to say that someday. I don't know. They gave me a contract.
They gave me a contract. The thing about Chevy Chase, and this was part of, so 93 is high school for me.
Yep.
This is the Letterman-Leno post-Carson war. It's an interesting part of time, and it's a network TV. Fox is still kind of an upstart. And in choosing sides, I cast my lot behind Chevy Chase. Yep. I told my friends, I'm going to be watching the Chevy Chase show.
Me too.
And then the first episode, I think Goldie Hawn was on it there. He has the piano at the desk and all, and it was so bad. And that's the first time. And there's larger conversations maybe to have around Chevy Chase and who he was and who he's been at different points in his life. But it was Chevy Chase. It was Saturday Night Live's Chevy Chase, Fletch, Caddyshack. It was Chevy Chase, and it was such a flop. It was the first time, Chip, Mark, that I realized someone I looked up to could absolutely just fail.
Yeah.
It was a lesson point almost.
Yep.
I don't remember what he was saying afterwards. What he said. If there was a reason for it, I can't remember some of the movies, if that was the start of the decline. Memoirs of an Invisible Man decline, with John Carpenter there directing. So I don't know.
So there you go. This is what we'll do. I love it. This sparks not just memories, it sparks shared experiences, how these moments, big and small, change your outlook on the world. And, I realized Courtney Love could throw a shoe pretty damn far. Changed my outlook. So that is our segment, Bucket Full of Pop. I want to hear that theme song again.
Do it.
Hit it, Akaika. All right, next up here is a segment I'm calling New Trend, Old Soul. So this is, we joke about it, we talk about it, we can make all the jokes about being old and out of touch, but there's a thing, especially if you're younger watching this thing that starts to happen where you are all there. You're adapting. You got the new clothes, you got the new hip jacket, you got the new device, and then something comes along and you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. And we all have to move past that, or if we can, or maybe you can't. So this segment, New Trend, Old Soul, I want to share things, trends, something, some change, some change in technology or a change in fashion or something that you used to mock, fight against, want no part of, but now and at one point took part in freely and became part of your life. Mark, do you have one of these moments?
I was gonna maybe go like some cell phone or Facebook, but then one finally came to me, and it is pop culture, and it is something I pushed against because I saw the first episode and I went, this will never ever go anywhere. Yeah. This episode sucked, and that is Lost.
Oh yeah,
I watched the pilot of Lost because at the time I was I had a roommate named Nikki who was working on it, and she showed me the pilot before anybody got to see it. And I watched it and I went, I'm going to tell you something, Nikki. This isn't going to go anywhere. And I walked away. And then it blew up. And everybody's talking about Lost that first season. And I was pushing right back. I was like, no, it's dumb.
Yeah.
No, I don't care about polar bears. Like on an island. It's like, what are you telling me? There's some purgatory island. Get out of here with that stuff. Next season, I binged all of them because I bought the VHS and I got hooked and I was crying at the finale, and it's one of my favorite shows of all time.
I love that. But I'm like, too, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure is one of my favorite movies. It's a life-changing movie for me. And my mom and dad rented it on VHS. We're like, we think you should watch this movie. And I was like, no. And I fought against it. I was like, no. And the next day I snuck down to the living room and like watched it, and like my life changed until I wanted to get into comedy and go to the Groundlings and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great answer, Mark. Chip, do you have one of these things where, I fought against it, but now it's part of your life?
Well, it's probably a ton, but talking to you, the one thing that comes up was when you used to go on stage and talk about this one thing, and it used to be just like as if you were saying, so I was on Fingbap and I was doing this thing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what's this MySpace? Shut up with the MySpace, you kids.
Yeah.
And now, then, it's like eventually everyone else, you got everyone else talking about MySpace, and pretty soon I was on MySpace, and I probably still have a MySpace account somewhere that has the couple silly videos that I uploaded. Yeah. And that, of course, goes into the whole social media thing. I mean, it was an easier slide to go from nothing to MySpace than it was from MySpace to Facebook, of course.
Right.
Yep.
Which is about as far as I go. It's like, yes, you laughed at me because I don't follow anyone on Instagram. It's because I don't ever go on Instagram. And that's how old I am.
Yeah, I had to grab a promo pic to tweet out an Instagram out for Chip, and I had to go to your Facebook page, number one. And two, I had to go, like, the profile picture was like 3 years ago. I was like, Darnell's killing me here. He's a beautiful man. We need to take some headshots and get him out there.
Did you go to his MySpace profile? You could probably grab it there.
My MySpace we talked about it on I think even Afternoons or Main Show a couple weeks ago. My MySpace profile still active, still going strong. But actually, a lot of the videos deleted. But there's some Chip Zock videos on my MySpace page, Chip. Like if we want to relive old times, they're on.
Oh
there.
Yeah. Oh, and it's still getting views. I get the notifications, and it makes me proud.
I don't know if everything's on. We'll have to. The Carl's Jr. one was some of our finest work, and the one there, you and I actually traveled to my hometown in Pismo Beach, and we did. I used to do these really bad, inappropriate travel log videos where I was just this dumbass F-level celebrity going on tours and just with no facts. And Chip would play Ralph Schumer, the local expert that I always leaned on. So we'll dig that up. Those are on there too.
I gotta give you're at the thing. You're at the thing. You're at the Grand Canyon, and you're like, oh crap! I got my camera. I'll go get it in the Lost and Found.
Yes.
To this day.
It's one of my finer moments of comedy is that at the Grand Canyon.
Get it in the Lost and Found.
Yeah. It's a great video. I wish I used the term Native American in that video, but we'll see where that video lands.
I think it was appropriate for the.
It was 2005, but also the character I play on that is a dumbass. Just happens to have my name. I'm with you on that too. I think that's a big one. I'll say iPhone or anything that's app based and everything. And I used to grumpily in my office at my old job yell at I had a retired sheriff deputy who worked with me off duty. In an off-duty capacity, and like he was all in on the iPhone. He was like, "Look, there's these things called apps, and like, oh, you want a restaurant? Look at this app. I can." And I just was like, "Al, I'll never. I have my Razor, and I'm good." And now look where we are now. I'm live streaming from the phone, and look, technology grows. But like, I get it from my dad. My dad, long after the Razor went out, was special ordering them on Etsy or eBay from like China. Because he was like, no, the Razor's the best phone. And he was getting them mailed out to him. So there we go. All right, that is that segment. We're going to round up the show here, coming around the corner in the bend on this program here. Again, this is the pilot episode of Internet for Old People, a chat show about all things that are not important that mean absolutely everything to all of us here. So we are going to have a little trivia, Mark and Chip, if you're ready. This is no disrespect to Joshberty, the fastest game show on the internet. This is a special thing here, and I got to give credit to one of the guests that's going to be on the show next week, Michael Beatrice, who is both funny and old. I think this is kind of a format he had suggested to me one time for something, and I used it on a Force Center episode, and it really worked here. So, Beatrice, if you're watching, can't wait to play this with you next week. This is a best of 5. Your name is your buzzer. What do you win? Well, much like Marvel Comics back in the day, you win a no prize.
Yes.
You just get the idea of winning. We are doing this category, TV shows today. I am, like I said, you get to buzz in. I'm going to give you first the year. You can do a blind guess. You can just go in with the year and give me a guess, and if you get it, you get it. I'll tell you what, if you guess it on the year alone, I'll give you 2 points, all right? But other than that, if both of you don't jump in on the year, I will start beat by beat naming cast members in the show.
Okay.
Up to 5. They get a little easier. Regular cast members, but also guest stars, guest appearances, 2 episodes or more, because there's some fun ones out there too. So those rules make sense. Chip, you ready?
Yeah. Hey.
That was encouraging.
No, it's my favorite. Say, yeah.
Let's do it. Mark, you ready?
Yeah.
Look, I'm just happy to be here today. Coming into the studio today, I think I broke my ankle misstepping on a curb, and it has put I've been sneezing, my eye is red. It's been a disaster over here. I think I'm slowly dying.
Falling apart.
Yeah. We got a big super chat coming in from Matt the Beer Man. Thank you for that. So sorry I'm late, but I'm happy he was able to catch the last half of the show live. Nice. I think Senior Film also got one of there. We'll catch up with some of those here at the end of the show here. I want you all just to sit and watch too. And as always, portions of proceeds donated and received during shows will go to charities. This week we're highlighting the Epilepsy Foundation that is helping to fight epilepsy together. This is what we do here at Good People Association. All right, here we go. Mark, Chip, if you're ready, buzz in. Your name is your buzzer. First one up is from the year 1995. Okay, no guesses. Cast members are Vicki Lewis, Condi Alexander.
Oh, no.
Stephen Root.
Chip.
Oh.
Stephen Root on 1995. Talk radio.
So close. No. Mark for a steal.
News radio.
It's easy at that point. We can't steal.
Yeah, got it.
You gotta be really southern. Vermont Mike guessed Jag. That's could have been. All right, next one up. Best of 3. 2000. Michael Ian Black.
Oh.
Mike Starr. Justin Long, Julie Bowen, Tom Cavanaugh.
Riley. Chuck? No.
Close, but no. Chip, can you do a steal?
Shit.
Ed?
Ed is it.
Oh, God,
Ed
that
is
was it.
Ed is it.
That was it.
You had generic white man name down.
I did. I thought about a white man, and Ed wasn't there. It's Chuck. Damn it.
There you go. All right, good job. We're tied at 1. A lot of people guessing the state. That was Michael Ian Black. Was definitely a little swerve there. Ed, great show. One of those shows with all the music licensing you kind of can't hear anymore. The first time, Happy Gilmore was the first time the world kind of saw Julie Bowen, and then Ed was after that.
Yeah.
Produced by Bonus. Do anyone remember the company that produced that show? No points on the board here.
Sit Ubu Sit. Good dog.
No.
No?
No? Chip?
Nope.
Worldwide Pants. Letterman's company.
Yeah.
All right, third one coming down the line here. This is from 1991. Garrett Morris. Ella Joyce. Carl Gordon. Jamie Foxx. Charles S. Dutton.
Oh, damn it. Oh, I know this. Oh, no.
Oh.
I know this.
1990.
Chip, go for it.
The only show I know with Charles S. Dutton was Rock.
That is
it. That's it.
That is it. Rock with a C. R-O-C.
I couldn't pull it.
Charles S. Dutton, who a year later would be in Alien 3. Great career. A lot
Still
of
a good
stuff going
movie.
on. Yeah.
I still buy into that movie.
Jamie Foxx, I think, was in about 8 or 9 episodes. Looking it up today here. All right, we are
not know that.
Chips up 2-1. We could have a win here if he gets this one, or Mark can tie. I also realize I don't have any extras, so we'll have to do something else if you guys don't get it. All right, this is from 1974.
Oh.
1974.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. Charo. Delarice. Scatman Crothers.
Oh, no.
Jack Albertson.
Chip here.
Yeah, for the win.
Chico, don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
The man, he ain't
Chico.
so hard to understand.
Chico and the Man, starring Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
The shooting star of a talent that was the late Freddie Prinze. Of course, his son, Freddie Prinze Jr., just a great cat, great guy himself. That was one of the ones that even though I was born in '76, I had memories of that show. And I had memories of Freddie Prinze, of just being this name that kind of was out there and no longer with us. And that was an early memory for me.
Huge.
Big.
I missed that. That show missed me. Yeah, but I heard about I remember it. I was wondering, I'm like, soap?
Yeah, and Jack Albertson.
I was thinking soap.
Jack Albertson, of course, being was kind of just one of those great character actors and popping up a ton of things. But Freddie Prinze would have been, would have been one of the all-time great comics. He kind of has that kind of status because, like I said, shooting star. But I think he would have been up there. He would have been one of those names with some of the big ones. Chip, unless I'm wrong, you're a comedy expert with me, but.
You're always right, man. I've never had to correct you on a single thing.
Ever.
His face. He's great. You're always right, man. You're always
Ever.
Right.
Ever. That is why Chip will always be a guest on my shows.
Yeah.
So means the next one I'll save. I'll save it for it's a good one too. It was a good one.
I was going to say, can you? But we'll save it.
We'll save it just in case.
Yeah.
All right, that is we're going. I'm going to check in with the Hawaiian hunk, Ikaika. What do you feel, Ikaika, about these old guys just talking about Geraldo Rivera?
I'm just surprised no one brought up tech for VJs.
Tech.
Tech is a great answer.
Look at him.
Real world Hawaii.
Real world Hawaii. That's right. Everyone has their real world season where they kind of pulled out, and that's a sign that you started getting old.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's when I started going through menopause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Well, Ikaika, that's a great pull.
Nice pull, dude.
That's did you guess any of these? I got next time. I'll have you. We'll do more, and I'll have you compete.
No, I didn't guess any.
No.
Oh, okay.
I know of the shows, but
Yeah.
No.
Love that. All right. Well, this is the first sample of this show. We do this next week. And by the time Josh comes back, the afternoons will work back into its normal time slot. Thursday's about 4:30. And this show, we're going to do something kind of cool with it down the line where it will be a show live for members of the GPA Association, and then we'll rebroadcast to the general public later that evening. We'll work out the times for that, so stay tuned for that. We're just kind of testing it here over the next few weeks, something I've always kind of wanted to do here. So I cannot thank you both enough. Mark Riley, regular around these parts with me, but Chip Dornell, you're going to be seeing Chip's wonderful face a lot more around here when he can. He's a busy working man himself in the game show research writing world. Chip, thank you so much for coming into the Good People Association.
Thank you, Ken. Good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you, Chip. Yeah. Pleasure being here with you, my friend.
It's like a family Zoom call. It's a family Zoom picnic
really is.
of catch up.
I love that we're doing this.
Chip, not that you'll ever, go on Twitter too much, but username Chip is your handle. Anything else you're working on that you want to promote or talk about?
Nothing I can talk about yet.
Yes. Like that.
Ooh, I love that.
That's good.
It's been that way for the past 5 years, but maybe before I die, I'll be just like, hey, I got. But I like to keep things close to the vest.
You do.
And I got a lot of vests.
He's got a lot of
I
vests.
just happen to be wearing a hoodie.
And a good one indeed. Streamlab did come in from Sammy Leon Mendoza. Says, her pop culture awakening year might have been 1997. I was 9 years old. Titanic came out and the world was obsessed. My birthday is April 14th, the day that Titanic hit the iceberg. 1997 is also the year NSYNC released their first album. And I remember all those dates well. My birthday is April 19th, so I'm right there with you, Sammy. Good month, good events, and Titanic, the movie, and the event, but the movie absolutely changed the pop culture landscape.
Sure did.
Back then there. Thank you for that. Thank you for all who donated. Like I said, portions of proceeds go to charities of choice. This week, we're focusing on the Epilepsy Foundation, fighting epilepsy together. We are excited to be a part of that as well. If you want to join the GPA, you can go to the GPA.fun. It's a real website. Become a member. Buckets are heading on out. Bucket Club members get a tumbler. Imagine a tumbler here, and you get to attend drink ups. Thank you to everyone who watched the big main show last night, GPA Live, where we unveiled our mini golf putting green. Ikaika came up with some genius ways to shoot it. We're obsessed with it here in the office. That just might be its own show here.
I think so.
Well,
I think we need to do that.
Follow us at Good People GPA. Follow all the guests here and everyone aboard. That's it. We'll see you next week. Be good, people. You old people. Bye.